good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. It is time to rank some football shirts, and excitingly this week, guys, as you know, we are ranking Nike's latest international kits. An exciting time of year. We had Adidas's kits last week. They were the talk of the town in many ways. Oh, my mic's a bit hot there. Talk of the town, but today is all about Nike. I've got a Nike t-shirt to represent, and Andreas, good to see you, my friend, and Robert as well. Good to see you, mate. Great to see a couple of the regulars here, and of course, if you are tuning in, maybe you come through Twitter, welcome. Make sure you subscribe before you leave today. If you want to see more streams like this and more videos about football shirts, this is the place. We don't put videos every week, but we do stream most weeks, and we do certainly try and have a quality over a quantity approach. But there's lots of stuff to do with football shirts here on the channel already, of course, and if you subscribe, you'll find out all the new stuff as well. But good to see Andrew saying that you'll be here for the whole stream. That is good. Guys, as well, if you enjoyed today, make sure you leave a like on the stream. It really helps people see the stream, whether that's live or even after the fact. It helps the algorithm a ton. You can also, of course, like Andreas and Robert have done, jump into the chat, post your questions, post anything, any reactions to my rankings, stick that in the chat. You can, of course, leave a comment on the video itself as well. And finally, I have a Patreon, and there's some exciting stuff coming with the Patreon this year. You get a bunch of stuff. You're part of a Slack group, which has a load of behind the scenes stuff from what I'm doing, whether it's design, whether it's other projects. And I share news, I share monthly updates with those guys. Only my patrons get those updates. You also get a shirt as part of your support, so check out the link in the description. Matthew as well jumping in. Good to see you, Matthew. Says, afternoon Phil, hope you're well, mate. Looking forward to you ranking the Nike international releases. Thank you, Matthew. And without further ado, let's get to the hot wall. Now, this is essentially just a big tier list with my favourite shirts on the right, the hottest shirts of the year according to me. And this is shirts released this calendar year, so of course we've got shirts from this season. There'll also be some 2024-25 shirts as we get through the year. So that's why you've got, for example, like the AC Milan 4th shirt here, which of course is for this season, alongside some new releases like the international releases. And of course, you can see here Adidas had a few entries in my top tier. Mexico did the double. I really like their kits. Belgium as well, Belgium home. A few shirts in the second tier, the Flames tier, which are, again, some of my favourite shirts really. There's a few gaps. I still need to go back. I just need to change my mic again. So I need to go back and fill in some gaps where I've missed a few releases, and that is something I need to do. But today we are talking Nike, and long-time viewers will know how we do this. We usually like to use Football Shirt Culture. Shout out to Football Shirt Culture. This stream isn't sponsored by them or anything, but they're a really useful resource for keeping up to date with new releases. They cover the majority of kit releases, and I just like the site. It functions well, and it's a nice kind of point of reference as opposed to trawling through social media and things like that. JVR, good to see JVR. Tea brewing, good man. I've got my tea as well, and I'm ready to go. What we'll do is, because Football Show Culture don't have every new kit on here, every new Nike kit, they've got the majority, so we'll go through their site in order, and then of course we can backdate, and there's some great pictures. Pro tip for anyone who doesn't know, if you want to find press release images like this, just type Nike News or Adidas News into Google, and you'll get the press release site, and it looks like this for Nike. You can get the high-res images from there, and you even get a bit of description as well. They only do this for their biggest collections, but that's a pro tip. Yeah, this is obviously really useful for what we're doing today. Hello from California, says 2000 BWJ, sorry. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. If again, if it's your first time, say hi. Or if it's your 100th time, do the same. Let's go in again. Football shirt cultures order. We'll start with USA, United States. Their away kit. Now, a lot of you will know my thoughts on this already. I'm not a big fan. Now, when we're doing these rankings, we're going to go off the pictures primarily from Football Shirt Culture, but of course we can refer to Nike's press release as well, particularly for those shirts where the Dry Fit ADV is doing a lot of heavy lifting. But if we start with USA, this one, according to the press release, was based on one of the US's shirts from the 50s. I believe it was the 1950 World Cup kit, which had a sash design. It was a white base though with, I believe, a red sash. Honestly, the inspiration, it's quite a classy look, that 1950s kit. This one has much more similarities with the 2014 away. Many of you will remember that one, which had a kind of colour blocking style with blue at the top and a white band and then red. Kind of peak Clint Dempsey era. Good to see you, Daredevil. Hello. Happy Friday. I mean, it is Thursday here. But I suppose if you're it might be just about Friday if you're living in the Pacific. But right, thank you, Andrew. So I'm just referring to the bomb pop. Yeah, and Portugal's home. So regardless, we can ignore the inspiration. If we just take the kit in isolation, I don't think this is a particularly attractive design. This feels, honestly, if this was a bit higher up, Friday Junior. Gotcha. I've never heard it referred to as Friday Junior, but I like it. Yeah, if this was higher up, I think it would be a bit better. But even then, this sort of blurred kind of gradient diagonal line, it kind of loses the essence of what makes a sash kit so great, right? It's supposed to be referred to as a sash kit, and sashes typically, for me, when it's got that crispness, it can look really nice. And I think often when they're kind of distorted like this, that just as an approach is lacking for me. It does go on the back, which is something, but overall I'm quite low on this shirt. And I would actually go as far as to say, as we begin today's stream, it's not going to be pretty reading for Nike. I really don't need to worry about how thin that is, do I? But there we go. I would say this is probably hovering towards the Ice Cube tier. It's one of my least favourite. It is on the back, the free. That does help, and honestly, that does make a difference. That's probably what's keeping it from the Ice Cube tier. I just honestly think this is a very forgettable design, and there's so much potential. I think what saddens me the most, and you guys know I care far too much about this. So the home is a very simple look, but it works pretty well. And when you've got a more simplistic home, you've got a license to do something crazy on the away kit. You don't need to hold back when you've got a fairly traditional, or at least fairly kind of inoffensive home shirt, for want of a better phrase. So quite low on the USA. I think I'd actually go as low as here. And today, of course, we're doing all Nike. Yeah, it's worth mentioning the shorts actually. The free does mention the shorts. Anytime you've got a kind of gradient or gradient-esque design, it's great that the shorts are incorporated in that, but it's not enough to save for me. We've got this section of the tier list here, which is kind of tracking a brand's overall performance according to my rankings. So of course today we'll be moving Nike all over the place. Let's bump them down ever so slightly. It's supposed to be a rough average, but they should have made it a onesie. Honestly, Robert, that alone would be great to see the onesie Mark II. Although I seem to remember, what did FIFA say about the onesie kit? I can't remember if they actually did anything about it in the end. The Cameroon kit that is from the noughties. Maybe they didn't actually ban it or prohibit it. I don't know. So that's USA. A somewhat tame start. Things will get better though. Things will get better. And I'll just refresh it as we change page to make sure we're not missing anything. Let's go to the home kit. We just talked about that and I would say I prefer this a lot more to the away. Interesting cuffs. I think it's a silly. Warranty's not bad. Yeah, Ian, I can't remember what the ruling was. I have a feeling they were, but I can't remember the exact. Basically, what the rule is now, because I believe there was some sort of rule, but I'd have to look it up again. I'm sure someone in chat will know. Yeah, looking at this this design, having the stripes. Hey, you know, having stars and stripes in the US kit, I think as a idea is not a bad thing. And this collar is interesting. It's not my favourite design, but I much prefer this collar to some of the other collars we'll see in today's kits. Internet detail is fine, not bad at all, and you do get a bit of a look here at the dry fit ADV material. Now there's a lot that could be said, and you can check out my thread on Twitter. I do mention a couple of bits there, not in depth, but certainly my overall thought is I really like that Nike have made an emphasis on using this latest iteration of dry fit ADV in large chunks of the shirt, essentially for most of the shirts on the base of the shirt, as opposed to Adidas where their heat ready material was much more restricted onto side panels, etc. Anyway, looking at this shirt, honestly, and again it looks better obviously in dry fit ADV, but I do like the collar and cuffs. And I like that you see here how it's kind of there's the blue section here. If you look at the back side of the cuffs, you've got the same idea. So it's a nice combination. Nothing special, but I do think that lifts the shirt, and I'm glad that you have that. It's a small thing, but having the blue on the back adds a lot. When I first saw this, I thought this was, they were just red. Although it does bother me that they don't go all the way around the sleeve, but that's a classic issue. I just said I think they were afraid to be too bold with it and played somewhat safe. Leaves a bit more to be desired. I can completely agree with that. I think one thing which would really elevate this would be a bespoke pattern in the material. I think maybe even it doesn't have to be in the material. It could be in the kind of mold of the Nigeria with the eagle. Something small like that helps with the plain shirt. Because whilst the dry fit ADV material looks good, it's not necessarily going to be adding too much to the overall look of the kit. The free send, something to note, the stars are technically only on the women's jersey. That's a good point. Yes, that is a really good point, because that is obviously shown here, but that's something that could be missed. No, I think you'd be right, definitely, or at least that's how it's been in recent years. So I think this one, much prefer this to the away. Like if I was going to buy a US kit, it would be no competition. It would be an easy choice for me of the home and away. But I do think this is this is peak candle tier material, right? So this is our third tier, the candle tier, which are the shirts that have something about them, but they're not really that hot. They're they're the kind of kits where maybe in an end of season sale I wouldn't mind picking up. And sometimes it's worth saying that some of these kits, they actually do look a lot better in person, or at least when they're on the pitch. If they're attached to a memorable team or result or player, etc., they go up a lot more in people's rankings. But I think this one feels there's a gap here, and that feels about right. So honestly, not a great combination for the US. I think there are a lot better home and away tandems, but as I say, the home I think does have some legs. Now it's not going to be kind of in order, so some of the teams are going to be jumbled up, but we will keep to this for the sake of ease, and we'll go to the Dutch, the Netherlands home kit. Now at a base level, Dutch home shirts often have something about them on account of their fantastic colour scheme. It's as simple as that. A Dutch home shirt, the floor of that is typically a lot higher than most other nations' home shirts. Is this a classic? Certainly not. This certainly follows some of the conversations we're having about the US, and if anything, the plainer or the simple collar and cuffs are an area which could have been played with. I do like the, albeit quite small usage of, and I mentioned this on the leaks video that we did on the channel, this what looks to be a light blue kind of tertiary colour. I like that on the sides and the cuffs, but I kind of want a little bit more. And again, I like it because it's a small thing which adds an element to the kit. If it was just orange and blue, you know, there's something missing there, or at least there's something that could be done more. And I do like this introduction to this colour, which has been used, of course, across many Dutch kits. Hey, Brock, good to see you. Ian said maybe they should incorporate Donald Trump's face to the fabric design. Not to talk about Trump too much, but I was really laughing at a clip of the June meme, the guy who'd basically dubbed one of the sandworms talking in the style of the former president. That did make me laugh a lot. I won't share it on stream or anything, but that's my anecdote related to that. Yeah, we'll get on to the prices, I think, in a second, Matthew. Yeah, maybe if we rank this one, and then I can talk to that briefly. So I'll start with some podcast music. Oh, that's cool. Huh, nice, Brock. Very cool. Yeah, so Robert, speaking on it's a huge upgrade on the previous Dutch shirt in many ways. And I do think the colour, you've got to think about the shades of the colours, right? Because again, you know you're going to get an orange shirt, but what is that shade of orange? And I like this, you know, kind of fiery shade. And I do honestly think, I think for me, if we had a little bit more of this tertiary colour, maybe it's the cuffs, maybe it's somewhere else on the kit, like I think that would add an interesting element, and it would help the shirt feel a lot more fresh. Perhaps the swoosh could have been outlined in this, or even done in the style of the Canada kit. I don't know exactly, but I just know that I want a little bit more of that light blue. I do actually think I like this even more than the US shirt, and I think it's definitely much more in this sort of range as opposed to lower in the third tier. So it's a very classic international home shirt, but I would definitely put this one ahead of the US shirts, as I mentioned. I forgot to nod to the detail that you have on the kit. That's nice, nothing special, but you know, those details are appreciated. So that's the Dutch effort. The home shirt, of course, the away is a little bit more jazzy. We'll come on to that shortly. Let's stick this one. I mean, when I'm looking at this list here, to be honest, I actually think I'd have it quite high on this tier list. When I compare it to some of these shirts, say like the Inter shirt, the Ninja Turtle shirt, yeah, no, I think I'd take it over that. I don't think I'm quite ready to push it into the Flames tier, but I like it here. I actually do think it's actually not far from being a winner, and it's still not bad. Now, I want to say, guys, once again, thank you for your comments. These Thursday streams have been really, really lively, and honestly, this is what it's all about. I really appreciate you chipping in. So I'll try and answer a few comments now, because there's a few good ones. Matthew, firstly, what's your opinion on the price? I think my takeaway ultimately is that I think it's more egregious to me when you have kids sizes of authentic kits that are 120 plus pounds or so. It's a crazy amount to be paying for a kids kit. We're only going to grow out of it in a couple of years. So I think there needs to be a conversation. Ultimately, authentic kits are exciting and I think they bring a lot, but I think there needs to be a conversation around it has to stop at some point. The prices can't keep going up and up and up, or at least they don't have to. I think this is probably too big of a topic to cover fully, but I have considered maybe on the channel I need to do a video looking at the price of kits, looking at things like inflation, because of course you can adjust for inflation, but we're still talking about a significant jump even when you adjust for inflation, based on some quick research that I've done. So in short, things are definitely not getting any better, and ultimately the fake market is thriving because of it. So that's a few thoughts, Matthew, but again, please feel free to ask more questions, and if people would like to talk more about this, we certainly can. I just said I'll actually be moving to the Netherlands. Yes, of course, at the end of November. Good thing I already have several Dutch kits in the collection. Do you have a favourite Dutch club side, Andreas? I wonder. And we also have Lafree saying, "Why does the kits in the football shirt culture pictures look different?" It's because these are essentially, well, a couple of reasons. One, they're typically the replica versions on here, but these are also the retail pictures, and retail pictures like this are notoriously a little bit flatter as opposed to the more edited and essentially just more kind of stylized images of the press release. So the retail pictures like this often are more like what you'd expect to see when you actually get the shirt in person, but you have to remember these are done to look as vanilla as possible, basically. This is the same with other brands as well, so it's quite good actually. You want to compare multiple sources when you're looking at especially colors, because often, especially when you look at release pictures, they can look so different. And I remember, I think it was a Marseille shirt a few years ago, it literally looked like a different kit comparing the retail style pictures to the release pictures. So essentially that's the biggest reason, and also having the replica of course changes things quite a bit. Good stuff. BWJ says, "This kit cycles for the 24 Olympics and not a World Cup for either men or women. The Olympics are much more important for the women's game. Would that factor in any way in the overall designs?" So it's interesting, BWJ, because of course, whilst many Olympic teams will use variations on this kit, they typically wouldn't have the Federation crest. They'll often replace it with a flag. That's not the case for all nations. Some nations do have specific suppliers. You can think of like Sweden having Uniqlo, for example, as opposed to Adidas. So that's worth bearing in mind. And of course, with the Euros and Copa America, many of these kits, if not all of them, will be used in major tournaments. So it's even though it's not a World Cup year, there are actually some examples of some of these kits will see major tournament action, of course. Not all, because some teams again haven't qualified, or some of the new kits are for teams that aren't in the Euros, but that's definitely worth bearing in mind. But it's interesting. I think the whole conversation around Olympic kits is really interesting as well. Coming to Nigeria. Now, of course, since 2018, Nigeria in many ways set the pace when it came to crazy, daring football shirts. And they haven't really let up much since then. This one, I think the dark base and the green details very much reminds you of some of the training wear or the jackets that they had in that 2018 collection. And this is quite a nice combo. I think the colours look good. I do like that it looks like a very, very dark green as opposed to a black, and that is nice. Or maybe it is black, to be fair. Maybe it is actually black. Either way, I do like the colour combo. Yeah, I mean, as far as the pattern goes, it looks good in the colours, and it is fully on the back. We have to mention that, guys, because it's definitely one of those things that isn't a given. But clearly, both Nike and Adidas this year are paying some good attention to that. And I like the choice of colours for the little side section here. In the green, which of course is already in the pattern, it blends in quite nicely with the pattern. So this is a nice shirt. I think it's an easy inclusion at the lower end of the Flames tier. I don't think it's not a personal favourite of mine. I think the aesthetics of some of the other patterns that we'll see today are a little bit stronger, but it's easy to just think, oh, it's just another Nigeria shirt, right? But actually, we should take these in isolation and should look at them and say, well, actually, what is it about the pattern that we like? And I do think the colour combo, again, particularly having the darker base, and the pattern I think is pretty strong. And I always like to compare when you get a home and away shirt next to one another. I want to see, well, there's two directions, right? Either you go down the very similar approach of having, two colorways of the same pattern, etc., or you go for quite contrasting directions. I like to kind of lean either way, not somewhere in the middle where there's, you're kind of not really sure what you're getting. But this gives you something different to the home or the away. I forget if this is the home. I think this is supposed to be the away. Yeah, so this is actually a mistake on Football Shirt Culture. This is the away. But anyway, I like this one a lot. I do. And I think it's a bit congested at this side of the tier list, but we will go let's go here. We'll put them just ahead of Peru there. Yeah, let's go down there. Let's have a little international section there. That's Nigeria. Ian said, Nike seem to be designing shirts and shorts as one entity. I think I prefer contrasting rather than matching shorts. I would agree, I think, Ian. I think one thing, sadly, and you often see it in the international games, that you don't get as many contrasting shorts as I think I would certainly like. So there's definitely something to be said about that one. Yes, the collar we will get to very shortly, Daredevil. So that is the Nigeria away. What about Portugal? Now, the Portugal home shirt, following one of the more daring home shirts for the Portugal I've had for a little while, which was the one that was referred to before, the kind of diagonal section, the kind of Monaco-esque design, which I thought had a great idea with the whole nautical theme, but could have been executed better. This home shirt, almost completely standard. There's almost nothing really of note to, as we like to say on the channel, hang your hat on, to kind of really point towards. The collar style, I'm not really convinced about the asymmetric look. It just asymmetry, and that is kind of unbalanced designs, I think can definitely have a lot of potential. And the collar, it's one of my least favorite of the set, though not my least favorite. We'll come into that shortly. And it's an interesting, like, you really see the kind of the wrap over style, or wrap around style here is emphasised quite a lot, having it in these colours. At least we do have contrasting shorts there. That's one for the contrasting shorts fans in the chat. But yeah, I think this one, again, there's a nice detail inside neck, but I think because the shirt is so plain, I'd almost want to have that. I mean, you can't usually have these things on the outside of kits because there are strict rules, but I'm sure you could afford some details. And at the very least, again, there's nothing in the way of bespoke patterns, bespoke ventilation mapping, things which help plain kits really shine. So it's as safe as it gets from Portugal. We talked about shades of colour. Yeah, sure, the shade of red is good, but it is, again, there's nothing of note there. I do like that kind of slightly lighter red as opposed to kind of some of the darker reds, which have, they're fun, but this would definitely be my go-to shade for Portugal. But yeah, I mean, this again, I think it would be competing around the US shirt, probably a little bit lower than the US shirt, which we ranked here. So we are talking the lower end of the third tier. And again, significant rumours that Portugal will be, maybe even confirmed, I don't know, but certainly that Portugal will be moving on from Nike, which would be a big departure. Nike have been with Portugal for a long, long time. So if this is how they end the relationship, it's a bit of a letdown. But we'll stick them there. We should nudge Nike around a bit there. You think they're just playing one because it's Nike's last year? I mean, in many ways that would seem a bit silly. Like, you might as well go out with a bang. But yeah, that sadly could be the case. I don't know. I'm just saying Portugal's too plain for me. Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot left to be desired. We come to the away shirt now. I might be bucking the trend here. I'm not a big fan of this, and again, some of you will know my thoughts. The idea, having the source of inspiration as the famous tiles, which particularly in Porto, but I think other parts of the country as well, the azulejo, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, the tiling, and this kind of very intricate ceramic work, which has been the source of inspiration for countless and some really good countless concept kits, which have been really like some of the best concept kits, certainly ones that have been very popular in the scene. And there's a few particular ones which have been quite notable, which many kind of fake creators since then kind of created kits off the back of. So I think the idea, it makes sense. We've been kind of crying out for this for someone like Portugal. But I really don't think the finished product is very good. I don't like the look of the pattern. It's very washed out. It's very blurred. To me, it's lacking what makes a lot of that tiling work so beautiful. And that is, again, the real crispness and the real kind of the very intricate details which are lost here. And I talked about this again on the leaks video, so some of you will have seen that. I think it's a fantastic source of inspiration, but a poor execution, quite simply. And I actually think people might really disagree with me. I would go as far as to say I probably would put this in the Ice Cube tier. That's how little I like it. Now again, maybe I'm being too picky, but the more I look at it, I actually just think this is a bad. I don't like the look of it. I really don't. And it's such a shame. Again, white and blue, it's a combo which I think works. It's been used sparingly in Portugal's history, but it's a colour combo which has kind of historical connections with the nation. I'm not feeling it though, guys. I'm not feeling it at all. And again, that's the same even if it's in the Joyfit ADV spec. That's not doing anything more for me. It's a hard pass, and you know what? I'm going to put it in the Ice Cube tier. I've got to stick to my guns. There's not been many shirts that have gone down here, but this is genuinely, and it does pain me to say, because again, an Azulejo inspired Portugal shirt could have been top tier, but I'm left sorely disappointed. From what I gather, most people seem to like this one online, and that's cool, but I'll happily let other people pick it up. I think this is, it's one of my least favourite new shirts of the year. Simple as. Just because it's bespoke, just because the pattern goes in the back, that's not enough. I don't think this looks good. That's my take. However, good to see some comments flying in. Robert saying, I think the pattern looks vintage. Clyde doesn't exactly resemble the tiles. There is something to be said about the fact that they didn't just do a tiling pattern. You could argue that it's a bit more daring, or at least that it's a bit more of a creative decision to not just do tiles. But I think for me, I want a pattern that doesn't have to necessarily just be tiles, but I want it a little bit crisper. I think that would look better. That's obviously a personal take there. Ian said Portugal wears echoes of recent Norway and France shirts. Definitely, but I like the France shirt a lot more. The one that you're referring to, Ian. That for me was a much better look. But hey, there we go. Probably my boldest take today. I don't know if I don't really. I think. Well, I hope I'm not just being a contrarian there and just going against popular opinion. But I just honestly, when I look at this, I would take the US shirt over that one. Again, that is a very hot take, I think, for today. But that's Portugal. Again, not the best combo, a bit like the US really. There are better kits to come though. JP says, I'm not too fussed with Portugal way there. It seems to be generally very popular. I honestly don't know why it's as popular as it is. I think people, but again, this is just completely my opinion. I just think there's actually much better kits out there, and I think people just get a bit too excited sometimes about a pattern, an all-over pattern like this, because it's unique to the team, and they probably are excited by the connection to the tiles, etc. That's my take. I might be completely wrong. But before I make any more enemies, we'll come on to Brazil's away shirt. Now, I mentioned collars previously. I am simply not a fan of this collar style. Of course, when it was leaked, a lot of people were saying this one could be quite odd, and it's a real shame because I think the shirt has a lot going for it. I really like this kind of turquoise teal color, and it looks great again with the yellow and the blue. It's a really fun, fresh, vibrant color palette. And of course, Brazil have had many good blue shirts of a similar style, but I think it has this kind of particularly kind of tropical feel, and it looks great. The crest on the shirt, not bad at all, and the internal detail, I don't mind that. Looks pretty sweet. But this collar, now I think the more we've had a few days to assess this now. I think perhaps I'm open to warming to it. I don't think it's, you see on the picture here, not so sure, but I actually think it almost looks better here in the retail picture. Either way, my initial take is that with a better collar, this would be an easy inclusion, I think, in the Flames tier. I do think the pattern has something about it. You know, the kind of waves with the stripes. I don't mind that at all. I'd probably like to have a bit of the yellow. Again, this is something which I often talk about, but I think when you've got, again, some of these nice accent colours, I wouldn't mind seeing a bit of that in the pattern. But hey, I do like the shirt as a whole, but it's hard. I don't get this kind of fold wrap over collar. I don't mind a high neck, and that's one thing which actually I do think I'd like to see more brands experiment with. But it's not really high neck, is it? It's just this kind of fold over collar. I honestly, with the better, at least in my eyes, collar, I think this is an easy flame stitch shirt. As it is, I think we have to pop it at the top of the candle tier. Bit of a shame, because I do think, again, there's a lot going for it. Maybe I'm being too harsh on the collar, but that is my initial take. And Edison, Wonder Why Brazil got both middle crest locations. I would guess it's because they did have, obviously they've done it before, but you know, I think of like the Total 90 kits. Yeah, so yeah, actually they've mentioned that 2004. So kit features the crest of the centre for the first time since. I'm surprised it's the first time since, but yeah, that, I guess, you know, especially with the Nike Brazil era, that's a very iconic kit, and it is one of the most iconic kits of the Total 90 era. So I can kind of see why they've done that. Yeah. It's one of those things. And this is the thing, right? One thing about the collection, Nike's collection, and also Adidas's, there's a really nice level of variation. We're in an era now where we have a good level of differentiation across kits. Of course, not all the patterns are bespoke, but in general, my computer seems to have crashed. Okay, no, I think we're back. Hopefully you didn't lose me then. Yeah, so that's my initial thoughts, is that actually it's great that we have different collars, different crest placements. There's a lot more variation, and that's a good thing. And this, of course, has been something which has really developed in the last few years. There's simply more to talk about and more difference across teams, and that's a good thing. Sure, you've got a lot of the, you know, repeated templates or construction elements, but actually there is variation, and that's good. JBS said, shame Brazil have the collar for both home and away. Yeah, obviously when we come to the home as well, and we will shortly, that's another shirt which has a lot of things I like about it, but the collar, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it at all. A few more comments. Guys, I want to say thank you again. It's been a busy start to the stream, and I appreciate it. I thought, what are your thoughts on Nike releasing the Brazil 98 home remake, and do you think they are following Adidas's lead? I think absolutely we could talk, like there's definitely a conversation to be had about how, you know, one brand does one thing, another brand very much looks over their shoulder. Nike have done the odd retro re-release, but certainly they have not been as prominent as Adidas. And I talked about this at the start of, I forget which video it was. One of the last main videos I did on the channel, I talked about this briefly. But yeah, I think ultimately we should expect more of this. It's a shame that often the price point of these retro kits is so high. But of course, they're just doing it to make money anyway. So there's a lot to be said there. Phil, will you ever review the League of Ireland kits? I certainly, as they come up on Football Shirt Culture's site, I will review them. It's unlikely I'd do a dedicated video, at least at this stage. But yeah, we've definitely covered a few of them. Hopefully there'll be more good ones to come. Again, more comments. I do want to say, like, these Thursday streams have been great. I really appreciate everything. It's keeping me on my toes. But hey, this is why we do what we do. What's your take on Centre Crest versus Hard Crest? I think a little bit of both is best. I would actually prefer this, you know, the more typical configuration, but the odd Centre Crest is a nice way to mix it up. I do hear what you're saying. They say that it's just that they're just moving it for the sake of it. I think often that is the case. That's often why you see collars every few years for teams. It is just a way to change a kit up. I think often that is the case. But hey, sometimes it can really work. Liam, good to see you. Liam says, hi Phil, what are your thoughts on the 3 new Real Madrid Y3 jerseys? I don't know if I've seen the latest leaks for those. I'm going to save my thoughts for when they're released, Liam. But come back, hopefully this time next week, and we can look at those. Brazil away best on cheap so far, says Ian. Honestly, I hear you. I do hear you. And maybe I'm getting a bit too distracted by the collar because I think it is a nice shirt. But yeah, I can't quite look past it. And collar looks like cat lips. I'm gonna say cat lips because I think that's probably the best way to say that on stream. Is it so you're gonna have to help me out. Is it Ian or Yoin? Yoin? Ian? I'm not sure how you say your name, Mr. McBain. Please help me pronounce it if I have butchered it. Eowyn is probably not how you say it. I'm guessing it's not phonetic. Owen. Of course it's Owen. I'm pretty sure, Owen, if it's not you, someone else with your same name had come on stream before and I had this problem and I remember this exact dialogue. Ah, yes. I apologize, Owen. He says, really think Nike dropped the ball with these colours, especially the off-center ones. I can't stand how Nike thought they look good. I think it is a case of basically them, what I often refer to as over-engineering, trying to do a bit too much. It was you. Of course it was you, Owen. Man. You see, I can retain far too much information about pieces of material, but when it comes to someone's name, how to pronounce someone's name or team name, for some reason that is a gap in my knowledge. So thank you for coming back to the stream, Owen, and not abandoning me for my complete disastrous attempt at saying your name. Looking at France's home kit, I think this one actually has significantly more positive elements compared to similar home shirts that we saw from the likes of the US or Portugal. It starts with the flag on the collar. It's such a simple idea, but it looks good. And even though the kind of asymmetric collar isn't doing much for me still, flag details on kits, it's a small way to really elevate a design. It really is. Like international kits particularly, of course. And the enlarged crest, very much paying homage to the 80s kits, or many international kits of the past, but the French kits, and you see this in the away and much more, which we'll come on to. Very clear reference to the 80s, and the large crests from that era, they look good. I like having it in the full colour there, and I think it makes it very much the star of the show. Looks good with the white shorts, which again have the trim. And this is one thing, when I first saw this kit, I was thinking, okay, where's the flag details on the cuffs? It felt like a bit of an odd, or like a missed opportunity. But then when you see it on the shorts, it makes sense. It makes sense. And actually the shorts of the away shirt as well, the away kit, sorry, really help solidify the design. So France have a sneakily good combo of kits. I actually think this is an easy inclusion in the Flames tier. I also want to mention the shade of blue. Again, it's a silly thing sometimes on the surface, but I like this shade as opposed to some of the darker shades. And obviously Nike have often, especially at the start of their stint with Le Bleu, really lent into the heavier, the darker shades of blue. But I do actually like this lighter shade. I think this one, when I look at the tier list here, we ranked Nigeria's in the Flames tier. I actually think I like this more. Yes, it's plain, but I think there are good decisions here, and I think this is one of the better French home shirts we've seen in a long time. I actually think I'd go as far as to put it here. Dad also said the French crest is beauty. You can see it from space. You can see it from a mile off. Again, I keep forgetting to move the Nike. I mean, they've got so many kits, they're just going to end up here, aren't they? Unless they suddenly go on a tear later on in the year. But anyway, that's the French home shirt. Oh, first yawn of the stream. I think I'm getting better. I used to yawn about like 20 minutes into a stream. But it happens, like literally talking an hour straight, and that's it. That's all it takes. But hey, it's good. I'm looking forward to talking about the away shirt. We'll come into that. This order is a bit random, but we come to Poland. Now, not many people are talking about Poland, and sadly, I'm not going to bring much good news if you are a Polish supporter. Let's go to the Nike press release images just to kind of make sure we're not missing anything. yeah, I mean, the crest also here looks pretty big. It's centralized, great. It's got the what looks like the similar, if not the same, as the Brazil collar, but that's it. And I don't think, again, with a plain shirt, you really need to see things like details, little call outs. Yes, there is the back neck, but there's nothing really exciting about that. I was thinking, what would actually elevate this one? Perhaps we've seen so many polo shirts which are very strictly white and red. I must say, it needs more polish. Indeed. We see many strictly two-colour shirts. Maybe introduce a bit of yellow right now. Of course, you can't go too crazy, but ultimately, like seeing it in the Federation logo here, why not add a bit of yellow? Just to give this something, right? I know that would be a bit unusual, but there is simply nothing exciting about this. Yes, the crest looks good. It's very prominent. Like, Poland often have centralised crests. I think it does look good, but broadly speaking, this is quite run of the mill. And the fact that I said I've done a good job not yawning, and now I'm not going to be able to stop. I said, what did I say? I genuinely forgot what I was saying then. Yeah, this one, of all the home shirts in this kind of area of the can tier, which I'm going to rank it in, I think this one is probably going to be the lowest of this selection. Well, I'll rank it above the USA shirt, but we'll go here. Let's go there. Obviously, the choice, given how little I like the colour. Sorry, the collar, not the colour. The collar, that doesn't help its argument either. BWDC, love that retro crest. I assume that's relation to France, but I missed the timing of that. I apologise. And then the Croatia home shirt. Now, I joked on Twitter that Croatia are balding. They're losing their hair. In many ways, it's hard to design a new Croatia home shirt. And Nike have actually done some really interesting designs, but the last two, this one and the previous one, have not been great. And ultimately, we're losing what makes a Croatia home shirt great. The checks. I get, the checkerboard, they've kind of enlarged it, but honestly, it's not a good look. I don't think it looks strong. We've got the NAF collar again, so it's basically, well, this is an easy inclusion in the Ice Cube tier. There's a lot of white on the kit, especially if those are the shorts they're going to go for, which I think they will, because they usually have white shorts. I think I might be saying that. Not enjoying it at all, and this would probably be even lower than the Portugal. It is one of those things where, given how long Nike have been with Croatia, they were bound to start to lose a bit of steam, and it is difficult. It is difficult to innovate or to kind of introduce different elements to a shirt, which you kind of know what you're going to get. But I think we've done this experiment. We can tick that box now. Hopefully, we don't see another Croatia home shirt like this, because I really do think it is underwhelming. There we go. When you're doing your June kit video, says Daredevil, I honestly cannot stop thinking about the series. I'm currently towards the end of the second book, June Messiah, so I started listening to the audiobook of the first June book shortly after watching the first film, and now I'm really, really kind of back into it. I saw the film twice. I'm obsessed with it. Well, at least for the moment, it's all I can not all I can think about, but when it comes to kind of films and media, and I've been reading loads again about it, around the books, watching loads of videos, and I think there's definitely some concept kit potential. Yeah, Tenno says lovely comment on Twitter about them balding. Yeah, that's the thing. It just, they seem to be, the trend is not good. Someone needs to stop the hair loss. Boxes, I just got the 2021 Spal Goalkeeper, terrific embossed pattern. I don't remember that off the top of my head, but I love embossed patterns. I just said I agree. Ice Cube cheers where that Croatia home deserves to be in. Yeah, not feeling that at all. What about the away? I mean, it's better. Looking at this one, it's an interesting idea, having the kind of red almost breaking through the checks. I think, one simple thing, guys, which would have made this shirt so much better, just stick the checks on the cuffs, on the collar. Just do that. Just do that on both shirts. Screw it. Like, I think that immediately vaults this one much higher in the tier list. I'm glad the checks continue in full on the back. It's just the same pattern on the back. Just give me the checkerboard. Literally do that on the collar and cuffs, and you've got a flame stick shirt easily. You've okay to should go to this and I'll go to. Can you imagine? I mean, hey, next year, 2025, we could have it June themed for no apparent reason other than my growing love for the franchise. Yeah, if you guys, well, obviously we shouldn't talk about spoilers. Although I think it's possibly, I had a friend tell me that it's going out of cinemas as early as today, I think. So, which is probably a good thing because I would have got a third time, honestly. Or maybe go and see an IMAX. Actually, that's one thing I didn't get a chance to do. So I was a bit gutted about that. But anyway, we're digressing, which we like to do here, but we are here to rank shirts. So this Croatia shirt, I think again, they really could have done some more with the cuffs. This is a high candle tier for me. I think something around this region. We talked about Brazil. It's probably just below there. Well, you know what? No, I'll stick it in the same area as Brazil. I'm just saying the diagonal checks give it something of a bi-meter vibe. Yeah, I can definitely see that. I do think the idea is pretty nice, and I think the very simple inclusion of the red actually helps a lot for me. It's a small detail, but that if they didn't have that and it was just plain or like the top of the shirt, I'd like this a lot less. But the red is a simple but effective detail. You know what I like about it as well? It really works with the side of the shirt. And okay, if I'm being really picky, and this is like incredibly, nitpick city here, but maybe, and this might look different on a different size shirt, but if that red line could come off the bottom of that panel, but I mean, no one but me cares about that. I am really, really going a bit too far there, but aesthetically, the little slide panel there with the red does match quite nicely with the design. Anyway, we'll move on. This is the kind of in-depth analysis you get at Phil's Corner. Possibly too much, but hey. France away. Now, I do really like this one. And for me, the shorts absolutely make the kit. Look at the pinstripes on those bad boys. I almost want to get a pair just of these shorts. And I've said that for an increasing number of shorts in recent years. Some shorts by themselves, like the PSG shorts. I actually did get a pair of those, the Jordan PSG shorts that were kind of in the Chicago Bulls style. I was sent a pair of those, and I still wear them. I still really like them. Although they don't have pockets, sadly, but anyway, a lot of football shorts don't. I really like this, and I think I was not 100% convinced when I saw the leaks of this one, but now I see this, I'm all in. Obviously, it's a nod to an Adidas design, which is quite funny, being a Nike kit now, but I think this one has a lot going for it. And again, it's the shorts for me. Like the combination of the shorts, it's just one of those looks, which, it for me stands out in a largely bland field. International football can be quite bland, but I really do think that is quite a standout feature. Mauro, it's so ugly. I honestly have seen a lot of hate for this one as well, and it's definitely, I'm possibly going out on a limb. Baseball vibes, absolutely, definitely that Daredevil with the pinstripes. But for me, it's a really effective way to take an old look, which is quintessentially Adidas, and bring it forward for the new era. I think the collar and cuffs could have been a bit there's definitely something that could be better there. Sure, I'm glad that it's not one of my less favorite or least favorite, designs, but I do think that the overall look of the shirt, especially with the shorts, is a win for me. The enlarged crest again we talked about, and I do like that a lot. And the half and half look, I guess, is interesting. That's one thing which, again, is quite notable about this new shirt. Also interesting to see it appears to be there is a kind of gradient with the stripes on the middle of the shirt being slightly lighter, and that's an interesting decision. Overall, though, I am a fan of this shirt. I actually think I would put this as high as the top of the Flames tier. That's how much I like the kit. And it's a nice contrast to the home. Obviously they have shared elements such as the enlarged cockle there, but I do think that this is a really good set of kits for France. And of course we rank the home shirt pretty high. I would rank the away shirt much higher. It's not a million miles away from the Flames tier for me. I do think, again, the collar and cuffs. In fact, let's use the promo picture. We might as well. Maybe if the lines are horizontal, sorry. It says Moro or Mauro. Sorry, I don't know how you say your name either. Let's not get into a pronunciation debate there, because that could be a problem. Yeah, I would definitely put this one on the top of the Flames tier. Big fan. If we were ranking shorts, we obviously aren't ranking shorts in this tier list, but if we were ranking shorts or considering shorts, this is an easy volcano tier, because I do think it is a standout combination, and I can't wait to see this one on the pitch. The red over the blue on the shorts has a really weird contrast. Let's have a look at that. I hear you. Even though I personally quite like it, it is a it's a bit hard to kind of see and appreciate really what they're doing. I think, as in, yeah, I would agree that the contrast is somewhat lacking, for want of a better word. But I personally really like the kit. We're going to go here. That is, of course, completing the home and away combo for France. One of the better ones, I would say. Owen says the new material Nike are using on their replicas for this season's club kits and those national team kits is least better than the ones they used for previous seasons. Yeah, that's definitely. Well, I'm looking forward to getting some of these kits certainly in hand to kind of fully analyse. But yeah, definitely the impression. Ian says France away, no, and the short especially no. The sort of full kit for John Terry fans. That reference is lost on me, but I'm sure it will come to me at some point. Reminds me of the material from the early 2010s. Huh? Yeah, I see what you're saying. JPI says love the French way, so a bit of a contrast in the chat, and I think that's reflected indeed in some of the opinions I saw online. A lot of love, but a lot of hate as well. Very polarizing. I really think, again, it would have been easy to basically, as close as possible without ripping off Adidas, replicate the old kit. But I liked they very much have nodded to it, but have gone their own route, and I think the decisions have worked, personally. Good to see Sega. Afternoon to you, my friend. I like the shirt, but not a fan of the asymmetric shorts. France waking up beat the 2011 cliche French shirt. That was a classic indeed. That really was. Let's keep this train rolling. We're doing all the Nike shirts today, guys, and we've got a few big ones to come. I think there are actually several as well, which we'll have to pick up from the press release site, so we'll do that as well. Brazil home. Now, much of what we said about the away could be replicated here, and it's, oh man, guys, I really think they were on to a winner. Look at how the pattern of the away is used on the cuffs, and I love this idea. We talked about kind of how you think about the combination of a home and away when you have elements of a home and away kit that are used, whether in full in the same position or in a different way, like this with the cuffs. that's such a nice way to tie what otherwise would look like kind of two very separate designs. It's a really good way to tie them together. So I'm a big fan of that. Then we come on to the pattern of the body, and I don't mind that at all. I think it gets pretty busy when you got the driver ADV mapping there and the look of that, but the aesthetics of the pattern. Hard to tell if it's kind of white or even like a sandy colour, but either way, I don't mind that at all. Yeah, it's kind of a bit chaotic, but it doesn't detract too much. I think it adds that level of depth which you like to see. I'd probably prefer if the pattern or the drive for ADV, the jacquard that you see in the fabric, if that was a bit more, maybe even similar if not the same as the lines of the pattern, that could look quite fun. Think of something like some of the recent Netherlands shirts. I forget which one it was now, but the one that had, any time you got bespoke player issue ventilation mapping or jacquard patterns, I think you go up another level. So I love almost everything about the kit, but I really just don't like the collar. I'm sorry to say it, and it feels bad knocking the shirt down just on that basis, but I actually think I'd still put this in the Flames team. That's how much I like it. Very much the kind of 2004 vibes like you say, Mauro. But I'm gonna have to go, sadly, I'd put it around even the France home shirt. I'm a big fan of this one, but let's go for the horizontal pattern, horizontal picture. So I'll be honest, it's one of my least favourite collars we've seen in a long time, and this is the example I think I'm going to use for the foreseeable future when I talk about over-engineered collars which are just a bit too, they're unnecessary. They're I get that you can't just do a crew neck every year, and that's a good thing that you don't just have a crew neck every year, but this is ultimately, I don't think this is a very good looking collar. It's a real shame because I think this shirt would probably be in the Flames tier with a good collar. That's how much I like it. In the Volcano tier, but I'm going to have to knock it down, and quite significantly. We're going to go below the France shirt, but we will go here. I hope you can hear the pain in my voice. Mara said the pattern makes the yellow less vibrant. It does, and I actually think that's great. Again, when you've got an international home shirt, you're looking at how does the colour of that shirt compare to other recent home shirts, because of course it's going to be yellow, but what shade have they done? How I personally think having this pattern, which again looks almost kind of sand coloured on these retail pictures, oh man, we could honestly did better collar. That could be a 10 out of 10 for me, and I really do like it still despite that. That's my take. Sega said I just touched the central badge, but Nike take off to the side. Can't say I'm too keen on that. So I do, although if memory serves me correctly, yes, I believe. Well, I think a lot of teams do, and it's the first time since 2004 that Brazil have done it. Now we've got the Netherlands away. We of course we talked about the home, and that ended up at the top of the third tier. What about the away? A lot of conversation about the leaks, and I even joked on Twitter that this is very much of the bus seat variety. I believe it's a nod to some related the steel arm movement. I couldn't tell you much about that. Let's have a quick Google to see what comes up. Okay, so sure. Yep, okay. We all know this style. Mondrian again, of very much of this, if not of this movement, coming out of this movement. I couldn't tell you much about this because I'm not an art historian, but anyway, looking at that, it's funny because I believe a recent Netherlands women's shirt also paid tribute to this, so I quite like the overall look of it, and I'm partial to this kind of bus seat aesthetic. Shame that there's nothing, it's doesn't continue to fall on the back. I also, again, shared elements between home and away kits. Well, we've got that in the form of the tertiary colour, which, again, is a nice thing. I like that. Same with the crest. So as a combo, this is a solid combination. Mara says looks better with orange logos. I would like to see that, definitely, because whilst I do like this light blue shade, and I don't mind having the applications in that colour, I think possibly orange would it could look better. I would like to definitely see that to compare it. And I think they've got the aesthetics of that pattern pretty good. With the gradient, this is again another cliche on the channel. I'd want to dial back the gradient a little bit. I think I want to see a little bit more of these orange elements, and of course the pattern on the back. So those two things for sure. And it's funny, of all the shirts with this asymmetric collar, this is perhaps the least offensive version for me, and perhaps that's because the pattern is a bit more busy. And I almost want to say I actually think it kind of fits the kit, which I wouldn't say is the case for the majority of shirts with this collar style. So I'm generally pretty high on this shirt. You know me, I've got things to pick a bone about, but would I put this in the flames tier? I think I would. I think I would put it at the lower end of the flames tier. But I hear you, Sega say it feels like it would work better if the pattern was a bit busier, and I think that would be fun to see, because it is somewhat held back, I think, isn't it, from being truly. Although it's worth noting, it looks like it's one of these patterns where you get a bit of variation in the placement of elements due to the way that the shirt is cut out from a larger piece of material, and that is the case with many shirts. But I do kind of like that element, the element of randomness. Yeah, so I do like the shirt, and to be honest, I actually think I would put this. It feels to me somewhere not quite on the border, a little bit higher. We had the Nigeria. I think I do like it more than the Nigeria, so we'll go here. I think just below France. BX Gunner. Good to see. He says, did Nike release any versions in long sleeves? That's a very good question. I don't think I've seen any pictures of that, actually. In short, I've not seen that. And I should have looked, because actually that was one of the things which was really good about the Adidas releases. Have we seen that with Nike? I don't know. Someone will be able to help us out in the chat, I'm sure. Good question. Daryl said Nike went massive with the crest this year. Some of their crests are really big. They definitely are. Particularly France, of course, as that is one of the key elements. England. Now, when we look at this shirt, I'm really sorry to mention the collar, but I've got to say it because I just do not like it. And I think it takes away from what is one of the nicer England home shirts Nike have done. Really like some of the elements here. This cuff, again, I would personally prefer cuffs almost always. The cuffs continuing around the full extension of the sleeve. Sega mentioned the controversy. Yes, of course, many people. For me, it's a complete non-story. People jumping on the look of the St. George's Cross. I think it looks really good. Stylistically, I like how that also ties in really well with the cuffs, the same colours. I really like it. I think it looks effective. It's that kind of level of, like, this detail to me is so much more interesting than it would be with just a simple cross detail. And I think I particularly like it because the cuffs also are in that kind of colour scheme. The detail, the lines there, that's good. I would like them going all the way around, but that is what it is. I think it's a really good looking shirt. If we come to the press release images, you get a good look at the dry fit ADV material there and the back neck. And again, what are the shorts saying? Well, I actually think they're looking pretty good. Same with the socks, so that same stripe element, which of course is nodded to in the St. George's Cross. So it's a really smart kit. It's actually, for me, is you know, one of the best England home shirts Nike have made. Period. I really think it's that good. I don't like the collar, and that obviously keeps it from being high up in my personal rankings. But I would probably still put it in the flames tier. That's how much I like it. A bit of love for Umbro in the chat from Daredevil and BX Gunner. Umbro were great with England, but I do think Nike, particularly in the last few years, have been absolutely smashing it. Both for the men's and women's team. This new collection isn't the best one that they've done, but it's definitely up there. I do think, again, with a better collar or a different color, I would rate this one a lot higher. As is, I'm probably going to go just below the France shirt. I think something like here feels good. Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's go here. You know what? Compared to, I keep saying you know what, but you know what? We're going to go just below, just below the kind of, well, around the same as the Brazil shirt. Yeah, I like it. Two shirts where the collar, honestly, are stopping this from being much higher in my personal rankings. Sega saying, yeah, I like the cost. It's just stylization, not the flag itself. Indeed. Collars are great, but the other side, it's the one that will stay standing up if you're that way inclined. Indeed. I think yeah, there's definitely some practical, functional benefits to that sort of colour. And then coming to the away, again, a lot of conversation about the away. I really like the colours. It's not what I would expect at all, of course, from an England away shirt. But I think as a colourway, it has a lot going for it. It's certainly, the fact they've recoloured the crest, it's certainly, they've gone all in, they've lent heavily into making the colour the story, really. And there is this side panel, very reminiscent of some of the kind of tailored by Umbro days, where again, talking about how the St. George's Cross or the cross was used in different ways stylistically, very much something which I think has been brought into, or ideas from that element of using, quite broad colour palettes in geometric ways. I like it. I do actually think it looks good. Looks vintage. It does have a kind of vintage, the kind of, what have they called this colour? I don't know if they've actually given it a name. Well, they will have given it a name, but what is the name? Dark Raisin and Sesame, that was it. Which is hilarious as a name. I think it looks really nice. I actually think this is, it's possible. This probably is more of like a third kit. Typically it's so out there in terms of a colour. Washed blue. Yeah, no, I think the dark raisin kind of fits, even though it's quite funny. I'll just mention the Euro 96. I don't think it's a reference to that, given that this one definitely has more of a purple hue to it compared to the grey kit. But perhaps I might be missing something there. So it's one of the most daring away shirts England have ever had. Now, being different, going down that kind of more progressive route can reap benefits. I think this one is good, and I do think it was a calculated risk from Nike. Again, the home shirt being relatively standard, it gives you license to do something like this, and this is another Flames tier shirt. Now, do I like it more than the home shirt? I think I do. And I rated the home shirt here. So we're going to stick the England away up here. A really good combo. I think this is actually one of the better sets of kits England have had. Period. Let alone with Nike. I long for a better colour on the home, or even just a simple colour like this. Honestly, that would give it a chance. Give it a shot at the volcano tier. We will move Nike up a little bit on the basis of recent shirts. Ian said, didn't lie unless it's having a away kit with gold badges. I don't recall. I think they did at some point, but nothing's jumping to mind, Ian. I'm sure I'm forgetting something though. I'm just saying it would be the 30th anniversary route. The 6th, that is coming up. That is true. Not quite there, but definitely coming up. Has been explained why England alienation that makes the style by the badge not particularly prominent. Good question, Sega. That is an interesting aspect. I think it is largely, a decision by the FA to basically try not to cling on to the past too much. I think that's probably what they're trying to go for, and trying to sort of. And in some ways, people could say, well, no, you should show it proudly. And I think it would probably just look better if it was, it's already there. I don't mind the tonal look occasionally, but I think actually, there's so few teams that have the honour of having a star for a World Cup win. I don't see any reason not to show it. But they've definitely made that effort over recent years not to, because they're not proud of only having one star as more. Yeah, I mean, I think I would, even though I'm English, so I'm biased. Again, there's not many teams that could claim it, so I'm going to say we should be proud. But yeah, perhaps that's the case. I think we just started to brag to say, yeah, exactly. Let's say that for sure. The England away and Japan we sold out straight away. Did it really, JPR? Huh. Interesting. So anyway, 1 second. Apologies. That is the bulk of the new shirts, but we've still got a few to go. We've got Canada, China, Korea. No, in fact, there was actually quite a few that we need to rank. So let's get to it, because we don't want to waste too much time. And we'll be a bit quicker for these, I think. Canada, the choice of the style of the swoosh within the enclosed within this oval, supposedly nodding to hockey jerseys of the past. I saw some people picking out pictures of old hockey helmets that actually might have been a bit closer. And that simple move does so much. It really does. I like that. It's great. As far as I know, I think it's just the Canada kits that have that. But that is, we've had precious little when it comes to Nike Canada, particularly with the Canada men's team. Eric, saying the oval is horrible. Eric, that's my favourite thing. Or honestly, one of my favourite things across all the Nike kits. I don't know why exactly, but when I look at different treatments of brand logos, I often get really excited. It's an area of kits which often is quite slow moving. You don't tend to see differences there, and I personally really like that. I think it looks even better, or at least the away shirt with the pinstripes has a lot going for it. So, coming to the home, I think personally, with that swoosh in the oval, it's honestly for me a really, really good look. If Nike started doing this for all their kits, of course the novelty would be lost, but and the story, you could argue is tenuous, but I'm a fan, and I actually would go as far as to put this in the Flames tier. Canada's a hockey shirt for sure. It definitely has that look. If you whether it's kind of I believe a lot of what Nike were doing in the 90s was mostly just kind of not team specific. I might be wrong on that. I guess they were working a lot in Europe still. Lisa's effort for Canada for once for Sega. Different colour sleeves make you feel a bit cheap. I like it on the side, not on the centre, and on the top of the crest, as Eric. And Ed said also one of Canada's best kits was the women's home. It was indeed. Yeah, I think this one is definitely an interesting. Like, there's the decision to have the enclosed crest in the centre. It's certainly a choice, and I personally like the look. But as you say, Daredevil, some of the women's kits as well have been much better than the men's. It's good to see. Again, though, the shared idea with I like that that's on both home and away. We do have the unfortunate colour, which we have to talk about. But the pinstripe look, don't mind it at all. Interesting to have it restricted to just the kind of central column, as opposed to the front shirt, where it's much more across the bulk of the shirt. I've mentioned this collar so much today, and I hope you're not too sick of me saying it, but I do have to penalise the shirt because of that. And where did we put the home? So the home. Wait, I've just completely missed where the home was. There we go. I lost it for a second there. we'll stick the away in the counter tip. Somewhere around here. That feels good. Apologies. Yeah, that's Canada. But as we begin to draw to a close, guys, we've still got a few more teams, but do jump in with any thoughts as we close. What have been your favourite shirts today? What was your favourite shirts? Are there any you're looking to pick up? Are you disappointed? Come to China, and again, we'll be quick on these for time's sake. Looking at the... So we didn't do that. China home. Honestly, based on this picture, very little to say about this one. I don't mind having the again, bit of yellow that has potential, and there's apparently an internet detail of a dragon, but we're not seeing that there. So based on these shirts, these are two easy inclusions in the canon tier, and until we see otherwise, I don't think there's much more to be said. We've avoided any overly faffy collars, but we need some patterns here. We need some, or details more than patterns, I think. I should say. To get this one in the higher tiers. JPS says, always seems to have an adaptive swoosh, but not with an oval. Yeah, I think it's got the kind of stitch look, hasn't it? The border look. So we will come on to that very soon. So that's China home. Apologies, guys. My nose is going haywire for some reason. And then we come to the away. You know, it looks to be exactly the same, different colourway. It's so funny, like, draws inspiration from the importance of the sky and heavenly realm in Chinese philosophy. Honestly, the colours do not tell that story. You need to do more if you're going to be, you know, paying tribute to the sky and heavenly realm. But anyway, just the classic marketing nonsense that every brand likes to fall into. Crazy, there's no really great Chinese show. There was so much potential in Chinese design. Yeah, of course they had the much talked about show, which was pulled at the last minute, and a few people got hold of. But ultimately, they have been largely quite forgettable. It's a shame. There's so much potential, and you don't even have to be obvious about it. You can do it in subtle ways through details, etc. But that's the China combo. Not too much to be said about those. What about Korea? Certainly much more dynamic in terms of pattern. You're absolutely right, Mauro, talking about wanting to showcase the drive for ADV. And that's the thing, that isn't a bad thing at all. But I think we want to see, again, if you're going to do that with the China shirts, give us, and maybe it's because we can't see the pictures in these release pictures, give us some details to really kind of appreciate, small details. You know, this is a different approach with Korea, obviously, to have much more of a prominent pattern. But I think, you know, ultimately it's a much more exciting shirt. A very interesting combo, I like the pinker shade of red. I've talked about this before. I think this is a good direction for Korea to go down. The use of light blue. This I can't think what this reminds me of, but it's certainly, you know, again, quite surprising. I feel like maybe it's like an NBA team or something, I don't know. The outline of the swoosh, there's a lot of interesting design decisions, having the collar and cuff pattern, which again matches the shorts well. I think this is a really good shirt. I had to make sure I'm muted then. Again, my nose is really playing up, so I apologise. I think the mute button is working, isn't it? So thankfully you've not heard me blow my nose on the stream. But I am basically trying to rush through these last few now before I completely run out of steam. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, Korea home. If we look at the tier list here, I personally think the away is a bit better, but I still think this is one of the best ones we've seen today from Nike. I would go as far as to say it's just below the England shirt. There's a nice space here. Just going to trim this a little bit. this is really unnecessary, but there we go. That is Korea. Where's Nike? I think we can leave them there. Again, there's been some good, some bad. Are those roses or random? The colours are good. I agree the colours are good. I believe they are roses. It talks about cues from traditional artwork though. Okay, maybe not. Tiger marks. I thought it was roses, but actually there's no mention of that in the press release. I like it. And I really think, again, the decisions like having the blue, to be honest, you know what? I will put this above England. I actually do think this is a step up from that. Yeah, let's go here. One of my favourites, and the away is also fantastic. To be honest, I'm now looking at this thinking, so these are both easily flame state inclusions. I'm actually going to bump this one up to the volcano tier though, because when I look at this, I think this deserves to be up here, and I'll put the away in that kind of spot. Again, I'm really like, it's a funny thing, but the shade of red that we talked about, the very pink shade of red, is just one of my favourite colours just to use in kits. I've done a few things, concepts, etc. Use that colour or similar colours a lot. I think it works really well. And the away, this one, when you see the inspiration, which is pearl, kind of Korean pearl lacquerware, which again I shared a picture in my thread on Twitter, but I think it's one of those moments where you go, I see what they're doing there. This one could easily be in the volcano tier as well, to be honest. I think I'm going to leave it just here, so right on the border. Big fan of it. Big fan in general. Oh yeah, the China Women's 2019 away is pretty good with the dragon. That is true. That is a good one. I definitely had that as part of my collection at one point. So really good stuff from Korea. One of the best sets for sure. But Norway, guys. And this is perhaps, well, I know this is going to be controversial. Maybe not as controversial as my Portugal ranking. But this is going to be just the second volcano t-shirt. I absolutely love this one. And it's funny because many people, again, I think have been quite mixed on this. I saw a lot of people saying, oh, it's just the Thailand flag, which I think is a bit of a silly argument because just because it's inspired by the flag doesn't mean it needs to look like the flag. And sure, the Thailand flag has, it's essentially the same, but actually it's not exactly that. Anyway, I personally think this is one of the most interesting international kits we've seen this season. I'm happy. I'm just going to put it slap bang there. I think when you look at, I don't even the tournament, I honestly don't know if they're in the areas actually. That's a good point. But anyway, the shirt I think is great. I think for me, international kits often don't, like, as obvious as it is, they often don't lean into flag inspired designs as much as they could, I think. And it, in one sense, it could be seen as cliche, but simply put, I don't think we see enough of it. And actually, in the modern game, we see even less than we used to. Flag-inspired designs. That it's very much kind of bucking the trend of these kind of all-over patterns, which are quite intricate, and sometimes a flag-inspired design is often, put to the side, or you just don't see them. I really like this though, and I think the gradient is something which this kind of idea of a gradient. Personally, when I saw it initially, I wasn't sure, but actually, the more I've seen it, and again, I shared some pictures today. Someone who actually bought the shirt in store, getting a look at the rune-inspired name set, which is a lot of fun. We're not reviewing that here, of course. I think this is going to go down as one of the best shirts of the year, the international shirts, certainly. I think it's a really great take. Obviously, having the centralized crest and swoosh make a lot of sense. And the away, again, Sega mentioned the iridescent logo, or the iridescent crest. You don't see that in this picture, but if you check out some of the pictures that have been doing the rounds today, I love that. You know, it's got the ice theme, and sure, we've seen that before, but this is a really good compliment to the home. Again, flag inspired home, looks great. A really kind of bold take, but I like that. And I think the away, it offers something different, a bit more kind of on trend. For me, it's really elevated when you see that swoosh and that crest up close. And again, the iridescent nature of it, I think, is a real positive. I actually think the home's better for me, but this one especially when I saw the iridescent crest. And it's not just because it's iridescent, guys, it's because I think the nature of the iridescent crest, the look of it, very much plays into this kind of ice theme. Like, often, like, it is a bit of a trend, of course. We've seen iridescent crest before, it's nothing new, but when you've got a shirt which is clearly inspired by, you know, ice, that's exactly where an iridescent crest really, really shines. It makes sense. It tells the story, right? It adds to the narrative. So there we go. I'm happy to stick it as high as here. Norway. Finally, of course, we had the recent Norway away, but this is the first time a Norway away shirt, home shirt with Nike has actually been of note. It's the best Norway home shirt of the Nike era since the Umbro days. I love it. Great combo, and a lot of people getting excited about the kits. But I mean, I like it, and I like it almost as much as I think I would just about take the Mexico and Belgium, the Belgium home and the Mexico away there. But that's Norway. I love it. Again, sorry guys. I'm not going to talk about my nose anymore. Football X shirts. Norway home is too simple. It doesn't look too good for me. Example of similar great shirt is any Nike shirt from 2009, 2010. That was a really good year for Nike. I did like that approach. They had some really good shirts around that time. I would actually say that the home isn't simple though. If anything, I think it's. I would argue this is quite an unusual design, but it works for me. I think the cuffs, perhaps I would prefer if they. I'm not sure how I feel about the contrast with the maroon sleeves, but overall, big fan. That is Norway, and we've got Turkey to finish. An underwhelming note to finish, really, because as we talked about in the leaks video, there's nothing of note. Both shirts completely standard. We've even got the. It's funny. This is another one where the collar actually. I kind of don't mind it because I think maybe this is what Nike were trying to do. Right, there is a sort of retro look to the collar, and I think for whatever reason I don't mind it too much. And it's a bit like, you know, when we talked about the asymmetric collar on the Dutch shirt or the Dutch away not detracting too much. This is an example of this. I don't even know what you want to call this collar. I think this is probably the best use of the collar on any of the Nike kits. And it's funny, despite being so simple, I actually would put this one kind of in the middle of the counter tier, which is, you know, not a bad ranking. It's higher than certainly several of the, or you know, many of the shirts I've ranked so far this year. A few of the shirts we ranked today. Oh, it's not got upside down. So I'm going to go here for Turkey. Is that the home? I can't forget if it's the home or away. This one though, we're going to stick in the ice cube tier. Perhaps there's something I'm missing with the detail, but as Mauro says, the Turkey one looks very generic. Yeah, I mean, this one literally looks like, you know, I like not to just say, oh, it's just a plain shirt, but this looks like a plain shirt. So I might be wrong. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but this is unfortunately the kind of shirt which gives a brand a reputation for being lazy. So that's Turkey. We will go in the ice cube tier. Hate to end on such a low note, but yeah, there's nothing of note for this one here, and that will, I believe, do it for today's episode of the Hot Wall. yeah, just going through here. Lots to talk about, and it's been a fun episode, and I want to say thank you to everyone for chipping in. Recap. I would say it's been one of the more controversial episodes of the Hot Wall, with Norway's home going straight into the volcano tier, joined by Korea. So that Nike not quite matching Adidas in terms of volcano tier entries, but they do have many shirts in the Flames tier. So it's close between the two guys. I would actually say that it's a really competitive year between the two big names on the international scene, and I think it's great. Both are bringing good things to the table. Ultimately, they're going in very different directions, and that's really good to see. So it's a competitive year. Obviously, not all good, and the highs are high, but the lows have been pretty low. Overall, though, feeling pretty good about Nike. In fact, going to bump them up slightly as we finish the day. Mao said they should add yellow lines to the cuffs of the Norway one. That'll be interesting. I don't know if I'd like that, but then again, they do have the yellow on the crest, so I can see you thinking. I'm just taking the same jersey by home every year. Yeah, indeed. Football X-shirt saying, okay, actually, I don't have enough arguments against Norway home. It just didn't work for me. Maybe because it's too much of different colours and quite usual design, simply stripes. Honestly, I think many people think similarly to you in terms of not liking the shirt. I'm a fan, and I actually think this, again, for me, like, I like the idea of taking the flag as inspiration, but going in an unusual direction, having the kind of the angles within the stripes themselves. Look, I'm not going to be able to convince you that it's a good design, but I personally like it, and I think it's going to stand out as one of the more memorable shirts of the year. I forget if Norway are in the Euros. Oh, we didn't rank Nigeria. How could we forget? We were just about to wrap up the show, and we didn't talk about the boxed collar. Daniel says, overall great year for kids. I agree. Now there's a lot to be said about this one. People are saying it's reminiscent of the Puma third shirts. There's no crest. You got the team name. The box collar is audacious. Should we put it that way? They're not in the Euros. Thank you, Robert. I didn't think they were, and it's a shame because we're missing out on a great couple of kits. Many people, myself included, were reminded of some concept kits which Angelo Trofa, one of the kind of seminal, prominent concept kit designers ever, who created a series of concepts with these really distinct box collars, and coincidentally perhaps Angelo is at Nike now. It doesn't mean that he's created these kits, but certainly the parallels can be drawn. It's an area of the shirt which has seen relatively little innovation, and I actually think, though it is a crazy look, and it's not one which many people would expect to enjoy, I think, wearing. By that I mean, if you're to wear this one to the pub, you're gonna get some comments. But honestly, when I look at this kit, my first take is that is a really exciting switch up for the format of a football shirt has been largely the same for a long time. Change for the sake of change isn't necessarily a good thing, but I do think this shirt, on account of the collar and having this quite disruptive look and approach to the applications, the crest, the swoosh, it feels like you'd expect it on something like a lifestyle range, or you think of some of those great collections of jackets, etc., that Nigeria have had over the years. You've got the eagle subliminally on the body there. My first impression is I like this one a lot. Is it unusual? Yes, but I do think, again, the kind of format of the football shirt has been so stale for so long. How much do I like it? Well, let's temper expectations. Let's not go too high. I think I would probably put it around here on the tier list, but it's certainly one of the stories of the year so far. And as we stick it, let's stick it here. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that collar for a while. Robert says square collars are silly, only useful for SpongeBob. I like that. I've not seen a SpongeBob reference or mention there. Is it silly? I personally think it's, well, I want to see it on pitch, but I really do think it has some potential, because we've seen, again, a lot of ideas of collars, and even in this collection, some, you know, everything from the classic kind of essentially just crew neck to the asymmetry to the kind of wraparound fold over collar, whatever you want to call it, the box collar. I think I'm glad that it's been restricted to just one kit. It gives that particular kit an identity. Had we seen it rolled out across several teams, I think the novelty would wear off, would wear thin. As like I said, Nigeria is one of those teams that can get away with more out there ideas. Exactly. I think they are, and you know, for better or for worse for their fans. But you're right to mention Korea, Mexico, and something like Japan as well with Adidas have typically been something of a playground for the designers. And certainly as collectors, we enjoy that. So there's a lot to be said there. Margie Puma turns to be different. Indeed, it definitely has shades of Puma. And a Football X shirt saying, I thought I've seen anything that I see the Nigeria shirt looks weird, as many new things, but I'm sure we'll see more square collar shirts in the future. I think ultimately, you know, we're looking for brands to help move things forward in terms of construction elements. Now, this is a big conversation, but I do think, you know, not everything's going to stick, but you want to see different approaches, because the industry's, you know, though it is cyclical and self-referential, you want to see developments to help push the industry forward. Now, does it mean that all shirts should have square collars? Of course not. But it's only when you start to see brands do new things that you start to get, ultimately, potentially exciting end products. Because innovation does drive things forward. You know, again, that's a whole conversation, but I'm excited. When I look at this collection, guys, I'm generally feeling quite positive. There's some misses, but there's plenty of hits. And that'll do it for today's stream. It's been a big one. I really enjoyed your contributions. Whether you've agreed with me, disagreed with me, it's been great. So thank you for tuning in. And I apologise, I've been, you know, muting myself and, you know, blowing my nose constantly, not been in top form as we end the stream, but I do want to say thank you for your support. It means so much, guys. I'm just, you know, a relatively small content creator, and it's a big part of my job doing this, but it means so much to have your support. So thank you. Football Association, yes, actually we love to see this Nigeria shirt. I don't like it too much, but that was something new, and it's big fun to see and discuss with my football mates. It is. I completely agree. Mara says, I don't mind the square neck. It probably has Nigerian tribe meaning. So that's another thing. I thought the same, Mara, and I'm not sure, but it perhaps that is kind of, you know, there's some traditional dress elements. I'll have to ask some of I've got a couple of Nigerian friends, and I haven't spoken to them since the launch of the kit. I'll have to see if there is perhaps a traditional element or cultural element. That would certainly really help. I mean, help ground the choice, wouldn't it? And that could be really that would probably increase my opinion of the shirt if there was some nice clear links. Thanks, Dedo. It's a enjoy your weekend, and much love for South Florida, where the best NFL team resides. I hate to say it, Daredevil, but I think the Jags are making moves, my friend. I think they're making moves. So I hope you enjoy your weekend, but know that your self-imposed crown as the best team in Florida. Oh, sorry, you said the best NFL team. Yeah. know that we're gonna fight back. It's gonna be a tough year for the Jags with the Texans looking so good, but I'm, you know, bold prediction: the Jags have a better record than the Dolphins next year. Let's see though. Robert, thank you very much, my friends. See you soon. Sega, Thank you, and I really appreciate that. It says, love the hot wall. It's primo late lunch content. Guys, I must say, it's been so fun to do these Thursday streams. They've been just a lot better than the Tuesday streams in terms of engagement. We will still be doing the Tuesday streams, and perhaps when eBay comes back, I think that might be what people are missing on the Tuesday evenings. But nonetheless, thank you. I'm going to sign off, but I will see you very soon, or speak to you on Twitter. Take care. All the best.